What's going on, folks? I'm Des with Desfit, and this is the Galaxy Watch Active from Samsung. So what they did with the Galaxy Watch Active is that they took pretty much everything from the original Galaxy Watch, they crammed it into a much smaller case, they ditched the rotating bezel, but they also reduced the price tag significantly. So just like all my other reviews, I focus mainly on the fitness features of these types of devices, and I try to test as many activities as possible, and this review is not going to be any different. So I tested it for running, both indoors and outdoors, cycling, both indoors and outdoors as well, weight training, swimming in the pool, as well as some other gym-based activities, just so you can get a better idea of how it's going to work for you. And this does take a little bit of time and effort, so if this video does help you out at all, don't hesitate about hitting that like button down below. It definitely helps the channel out a lot, and I appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the Galaxy Watch Active. It's a nice, small, lightweight, and quite attractive watch, weighing in at only 25 grams without the strap. But I do have to say that it is on the small side. I have a 195 millimeter circumference wrist, and although it does fit barely on my wrist, it also does come with a longer strap in case you need it. And even though they ditched the rotating bezel, which I think is still a great hardware interface element, interacting with the Active is still a pretty good experience. It's got 2 buttons on the right-hand side, as well as a nice responsive touchscreen, and it doesn't seem to be affected that much by water. So it does pair to both Android as well as iOS devices, and this is probably something I should have mentioned in my unboxing video, but although I am going to go over the differences between pairing it to both of these platforms, that actually has very little to do with the fitness potential of this device. But when it's paired to an iPhone, you get one-way notifications that you can dismiss from the watch itself, but you won't be able to respond to text. And then you can choose to answer or decline a call from the watch, but you'll actually speak on your phone. But still, it's actually not a bad smartwatch experience for being a non-Apple Watch, and you do also get apps and watch faces from the Galaxy Store. However, there's one big difference with the Galaxy Store that we'll go over here in a second. When it's paired to an Android phone, the experience becomes much more robust, where you can actually respond to text messages using voice dictation, a wide selection of emojis, you can write on the screen, there's also a surprisingly usable keyboard, and then there's going to be predefined responses that you can edit and create as well. And although there is a microphone for dictation and for Bixby, there isn't a speaker, so you can't speak through the watch itself. Now, like I said earlier, there is going to be a big difference between the Galaxy Store on Android versus iOS. On Android, you have the ability to purchase paid apps and watch faces, something that's not going to be present in iOS, so you won't have the wide selection of some of the really attractive watch faces that are available on Android. But Spotify is available on both platforms, and downloading tracks was fairly quick, but just make sure you connect it to Wi-Fi because downloading tracks over Bluetooth takes forever. Oh yeah, and pairing headphones as well as Bluetooth speakers wasn't an issue, and the connection seemed pretty solid. And then in regards to battery life, the first couple days I had it, I actually couldn't even get a full day out of it. However, a firmware update did help that out a lot, and now I'm getting more like a day and a half out of it, even while using GPS for about an hour per day. So if you are expecting a lower than expected battery life, just make sure that you're on the most current update. It does also have an option for an always-on watch face where it'll dim to a lower non-color setting when it's not active, and then it turns on the full watch face when you make a gesture. And it actually didn't seem to affect battery life all that much. I was still getting about 30 hours. For daily activity tracking, I found the steps to be fairly accurate. However, calories, well, for the most part, they were low for me, but I'll get into why that actually could be here in just a little bit. But for sleep tracking, I found that to be pretty darn accurate. I was pretty impressed here, and yes, I'm a very light sleeper. So now let's actually get into the fitness side of the Galaxy Watch Active. So the Galaxy Watch Active comes with 39 built-in workout profiles, including standard stuff like running, cycling, walking, and swimming, all of which have indoor and outdoor profiles and quite a few others that are going to be available. However, just keep in mind that some of these are just individual exercises that are part of a more complete workout. For instance, they have individual profiles for stuff like leg extensions, leg curls, bench press, and arm curls. And then the idea is that you link these more individual movements together. So when you finish a workout, you actually have the option to move on to the next workout. When you click on New Workout, it'll end the current workout and then it'll show the list of available workout profiles. When you're done with all the workouts that you want to link together, there's actually a summary screen of how many different workouts you did in that routine with the workout duration and then the total duration. So we'll get back to if the Galaxy Watch Active can actually automatically count those reps. But first, let's go over some of the more common workouts like cycling, running, swimming, as well as weight training. For running outdoors, it'll give you a map of your route, then it gives your time, distance, average pace, achievements for that workout, and then a chart that can show your speed, heart rate, elevation, and cadence. And then below that, it'll show your splits, and then finally a breakdown of your workout details, including your calories, average and maximum speed, average and maximum pace, high and low elevation, average and max heart rate, as well as average and maximum cadence. So in regards to GPS, here's where the Galaxy Watch Active did much, much better than the Galaxy Watch and the Gear Sport. It was able to acquire a GPS signal much faster than those other two watches, so I'm really happy to report that. And then in regards to how well it did calculating distance using its onboard GPS, it was pretty much spot on with other test devices. In addition, it was pretty accurate in regards to the actual GPS tracks, and I'll have the Galaxy Watch Active data highlighted here in red, by the way. However, if we look at this little S-bend right here, we can see that the sampling rate isn't quite as detailed as some other devices, but still, no real complaints here. And then in regards to other metrics, average and max speed and pace were darn close with other test devices, and so was cadence. However, eagle-eyed viewers may have already seen that it's not exactly all rainbows and unicorns. So take a look at that heart rate. That's nowhere close to the readings from 3 other test devices. And then here's another example using Endomondo, where again, everything lined up for the most part except for, well, heart rate. On the Endomondo app, you just see it go up and then it just disappears. But if we take a look at this heart rate data in a more detailed analysis tool, you'll see that it just flatlines here. It's not your time! So taking it indoors, first off, the treadmill profile does not calculate distance. However, for heart rate on the treadmill, it did a much better job for some reason, and that's not too shabby. So now on to cycling. Again, quite good at distance as well as average speed, but it also did okay at maximum speed. However, notice that it does not display the total ascent for some reason. In regards to the GPS tracks at higher speeds, no issues here either, and all good to go. So then let's get back to heart rate again. On this example, not so great. So here's another example where it's slightly better-ish, at least for the start. But then I don't know really what happened there. What you can see here is that it actually did an okay job for at least the start. Then it just kind of went haywire. You'll see some really high spikes in heart rate, and then it sort of locked back on again, but then it flatlined again. So now on to riding inside. So this example isn't bad. It stayed pretty consistent during the steady state areas where my arm was stationary, but as soon as I started sprinting, it really couldn't keep up. But then there's this session where it again kind of went haywire at the end. And as you can see here in more detail, this was a nice mellow session. There's no sprinting. It was just a nice steady state session, and still lost heart rate for some reason. Now for weight training, it didn't spike or flatline, which was really good, but as you can see, it had a hard time tracking most of the time with a lower heart rate than actual. And then where you may experience better results is with less intense activities like elliptical, where it was pretty darn good. In addition, and this one surprised me, is that it was pretty good for indoor rowing. So now let's talk about swimming. It actually does come with both indoor and outdoor swimming profiles. But just to get this out of the way, I did not test outdoor swimming because it's early spring in Colorado right now. But for indoor swimming, you can choose your pool length, including a custom pool length in yards or meters. And then when you start the workout, it'll lock the touchscreen. It tracks your laps automatically and it also identifies your stroke type, and then it gives you all the normal stats that you'd expect, including total strokes, total lengths or laps, average and best swell score, average and maximum pace, and it also attempts to get your heart rate. And in terms of heart rate accuracy, it was actually surprisingly okay, and that's darn good compared to a chest heart rate strap. So that's definitely neat to see after some of those previous heart rate examples. Okay, so to wrap things up, let's talk about automatic workout detection as well as the automatic rep counting that we touched on before. So the Galaxy Watch Active is designed to automatically recognize running, cycling, elliptical, rowing, as well as what they call a dynamic workout. And this worked pretty darn well for me. It takes about 10 minutes for it to register and show on the watch itself. And then the only real blip here is that I thought I was running when I tried it on the elliptical. No biggie really though. And although the automatic workout detection worked really well, the automatic rep counting with some of those more individual profiles that we saw earlier was kind of a different story. So with the Active, I tried this quite a number of times with very limited success. And maybe I'm doing something wrong here, but here's going to be me trying arm curls. So when you start the workout, it shows you an animation of the movement. Then it'll move on to a diagram of how to get your body into that starting position. So like I said, I just tried this with arm curls, and then I tried it with bench press, lateral raises, lunges, and quite a few others with pretty much no success. And then the only two that ever worked for me were squats and back extensions. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, considering I thought that was improved from the Gear Sport to the Galaxy Watch, but so what's the verdict? Well, there definitely are improvements over the Galaxy Watch from last year, namely the GPS accuracy as well as the acquisition. But heart rate was still hit and miss for me. Sometimes it would collect okay heart rate, but then there were some pretty epic failures. And I was really hoping the smaller size and weight would help the heart rate accuracy out, but there's clearly something else going on here. Basically, as soon as it loses heart rate, it has a really challenging time locking back on. Now, something that would make the Galaxy Watch Active significantly more usable from a fitness perspective is if it had support for Bluetooth external heart rate straps, which still it does not support natively, at least. And I don't really understand why Samsung won't add this functionality, because it would just add so much to this device. And then battery life is going to be less than 2 days. So you're probably more realistically going to get about 30 to 36 hours out of it. But considering that's about what you get out of an Apple Watch, I'm actually not going to dock any points for that, especially for how small and lightweight it is. But other than the heart rate inconsistencies, the other weak point is going to be Samsung Health. It's a really kind of a clunky app to get around, and it just can't really hold a candle to apps like Fitbit as well as Garmin Connect. So I think I'm pretty much in the same boat as the original Galaxy Watch. However, the GPS has improved, so that's pretty awesome. Heart rate, leaves a bit to be desired, like I said. So if you are looking for a great smartwatch, and that's whether you're on an Android or an iPhone, I think this is actually a great little device. But if you're looking for a fitness device, I think there probably are going to be some better options for you. And I'll have a follow-up video comparing the Galaxy Watch Active to some of those options, so make sure to subscribe. Anyhow, if this video did help you out at all, hit that like button down below, and make sure to subscribe for plenty of sports and fitness technology reviews that are coming soon. And in the meantime, have fun with your fitness, and we will see you in the next video.